Hello students. Today in this class I am going to give you the review of all the chapters which will come in your final exam. So basically first I am going to tell you the syllabus of your mathematics. Your syllabus is chapter number 7 to chapter number 15. So first I am going to tell you what you have to study in the following chapters. Okay? See, in chapter number 7 the name of the chapter is congruence of triangle. So first of all you have to see what is congruency. Two objects are said to be congruent if they are exact copies of each other. I told you in class. So what are congruency? What are congruent figures? Two objects are said to be congruent when if they are exact copies of each other. They should be look similar to each other, and second thing, they should be of exact same size. Okay, clear? Second, two line segments are congruent if they are equal in length. How we have to say that two lines are congruent? When they have equal length. Suppose there is one line which is named AB. Okay, there's one line whose name is AB. Here I am talking about line segment, which I'm not talking about the line, I'm talking about line segment. Suppose this is line AB and there's another line segment CD. First line segment is AB and second line segment is CD. So when we say that these two line segments are congruent, so these two line segments are congruent when they have equal length. That means if AB is 4 centimeter, then CD should also of 4 centimeter. Okay. Now next, two angles are congruent. When two angles are congruent, when they have same measure. Both angles should be of equal measure. Suppose the first angle is of 30 degree, then second angle is also of 30 degree. Then they should be congruent. So here in this chapter, you should have a focus on congruency of triangles. Okay. So in congruency of triangle, not only sides and angles are taken into account, but also the corresponding vertices is also important. Okay. In congruency of triangle, it is not compulsory that you should only take sides and angles, but also you have to take their corresponding vertices. Okay. Why it's so? It is too much important. Okay. Let's take an example of it. Suppose there is one triangle whose name is A, B, C. This another triangle whose name is P, Q, R. Okay. It is given to you that AB is important to QR and BC is equal to QP and AR is equals to RP. Sorry, AC is equals to RP. So now you have to say the corresponding sides. So what does it mean? First we will take A and B. Take only A and B. Now put corresponding side, corresponding sign. Okay. Then write AB is equal to what? AB is equal to QR. AB is equals to QR. So write in rough QR. Now see ABC. AB and QR. Now BC is equals to what? BC equals to QP. One more time. See, I told you there is one triangle A, B, C, and here P, P, Q, R. Okay, I told you AB equals to QR and BC equals to PQ and AC equals to RP. So we have to match exactly these sign. Here we have one sign, so one sign is where? Here. Here we have two signs, so two sign is where? QP. So we have to arrange the first triangle as it is. Now according to the first triangle we have to mention the second triangle. Okay. Look, A, B, C. Okay. First I have taken the first side, then second side and the third side. So where is the first side? This is the first side, this is second side and this is third side. How it's so? Because this one is equal to this one is equal to QP. So how you will write the triangle? First you will take RQ and QP. So this is the way of writing the congruent part. So this is the only thing I want to tell you here. Okay, we have to also mention their corresponding vertices. So what are the criterias? It is given to us the criterias. SSS congruence criteria. It is given if three sides of a triangle are equal to the three corresponding sides of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Second criteria, in this triangle, all the first three sides of a triangle should be equal to the another three sides of a triangle. Okay, as I mentioned in the example above. SAS congruency criteria. If two sides of a triangle are and the angle included between them are equal to the corresponding two sides of the included angle of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. In SAS, you should always remember the angle. You should always remember angle. Okay, it is very important. Angle you have to make like this. Yes or no? So angles are important here. Okay, if you see this is the angle, so this angle should be equal to the corresponding part of another angle. Okay, so this side and this side we have to take in SAS criteria, side angle side, and the third side you will assume as the dotted part. Which becomes a triangle. So two sides are important, and which two sides? The arms of your given angle. The arms of given angle should be equal to the another triangle. Okay, understand? ASA criteria. In ASA criteria, if two angles at included side of a triangle are equal, the corresponding two angles and the included side of the another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So basically you have to, in this type of triangles, you have to see about the side. If this side is equal to this side, then the angles made on these sides should be equal. Okay, Understand? We do not bother these sides. Okay, only this side and the angle made on these sides we have to see. That is ASA criteria. RHS congruency criteria. If the hypotenuse and one side of the right angle triangle are equal to the hypotenuse and one side of another right angle triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So it is mentioned here RHS. So from the full form of RHS you will understand what the things we need here. Right RHS means right angle. So triangle should have right angle. Second, H. H stands for hypotenuse. So the triangle's hypotenuse must be equal. And side. So any of its sides. Okay. So this is the thing we need in RHS congruency criteria. What? Right angle. The triangle should be right angle triangle. Okay. Second is hypotenuse. Their hypotenuse must be equal. And third, any of the side is also equal. So these are the things which is important in chapter number 7. Okay. Now I am moving to chapter number 8. Chapter number 8, comparing quantities. In this we are going to study about the ratios, percentages, profit loss and simple interest. Okay. Two quantities can be compared if the units are same. Here it is given two quantities can be compared if the units are same. It means that if we are comparing one thing which is in liter, then another one should also in liter. If one thing is in meter, then another one is also in meter. Like you can compare two roads. Why we are comparing two roads? Because both we have to compare in kilometers. Yes or no? Now second, two ratios are said to be equivalent if their corresponding fractions are equal. What does it mean? It means that suppose first fraction is 2 upon 5. The second one should be of 10 upon 25. Okay. Then how we have to write this in ratio? 2 is to 5 and 10 is to 25. If their corresponding fractions are equal, first these are the ratios given, then I have to convert this into fraction form. How we have to convert this in fraction form? This number will come in numerator and second number will write in denominator place. Okay, then see 2 upon 5 and 10 upon 25 is given to us. How we have to check whether they are equal or not? Multiply 2 into 25 we will get here 50. Of 5 into 10 we will also get 50. So by this we can understand they both are equal. Also the second method is you can convert this into simplest form. 5 to the 10 and 5 as the 25. Also you will get the same result. Okay. Now the third is two ratios A is to B and C is to D are said to be proportion if what? It is given here. They are said to be in proportion when A multiplied by D. AD is equals to B multiplied by C. Okay, I already told you product of midterm and extreme terms. A into D multiplied by C into B. If they are equal, then it is in proportion, otherwise it is not. What we need to do? We need to multiply the first with the last and the between and two middle terms. Okay. Now next topic is percentages. Okay. Percentage are another thing to compare. So here I'm going to tell you where we use percentages mostly. Basically, we use percentages mostly in schools. Yes or no? Definitely. With the help of percentages, we have to say who is the first in class and who is last in class, who is the brightest student and who is needs more efforts on their studies. Okay. So percentages are another way of comparing quantities. Percentages are numerator of fraction with denominator 100. Okay. It is represented by the symbol this is the sign of percentage and means hundreds too, and it also means 100 too. So how you will calculate 25% of 100? 25% of 100. Okay, so 25% of 100 you need to calculate. So what you need to do? 25 upon 100 multiply by 100. So your percentage will be equal to 25%. Sorry, 25. The part is 25. And how you need to calculate percentages? 25 upon 100 means 0.25. Okay, so this is the small example. I'm going to give you another example where I will tell you how we calculate percentage of any quantities. Okay, so see, in this we have given in a bag there are 6 blue marbles. This 6 blue marble, 4 red marbles, okay, and 5 green marbles. So first we need to add all the marbles, that means total number of marbles inside the bag we will calculate. So here the sum is 15, okay, and number of blue marbles is given to us 6. Okay, now we need to calculate the percentage of blue marbles. So first you will write how many blue marbles we have. We have 6 blue marbles, and what is the total number of marbles? 15. So to calculate the percentage, I already told you, we will write the obtained and the total, then we'll multiply with 100. Okay, so calculate, solve it, and you will get the answer, and tell me what is your answer here. Okay, now fraction number can be converted into percentages. Also it is given fraction number can also convert into percentages. If the fraction is in proper fraction, then we will get percentage less than 100, and if the fraction is improper fraction, then we will get the percentage greater than 100. For example, 2 upon 5. 2 upon 5 is improper fraction. Why? Sorry, proper fraction. Why? Because here the numerator is lesser than the denominator. Numerator छोटा है denominator से. Okay, that's why it is proper fraction. And to calculate the percentage, what we will do? Multiply 100 with 520, then you will get the 40% answer. Okay, yes or no? You will get answer 40%. So 40 is lesser than 100. If the percentage is, if the fraction is improper fraction, what is the fraction? If the proper is improper fraction, then how you will have the answer? 5 upon 2 multiply by 100. 5 upon 2 is improper fraction. Why? Because here the numerator is greater than the denominator. Okay, so 250 is a, so we will get here 250% answer, which is greater than the 100. So always remember, if the percentage is proper fraction, then your percentage will always less than 100. If the percentage is improper fraction, then your answer will always greater than the 100. Now next, decimals can be converted into percentage by multiplying them by 100%. Okay, so I already told you how to convert the decimals into percentage. First, what you need to do, multiply. Suppose the decimal number is 2.5, multiply with 100. So what you will get here, 250. Yes or no? Clear? Percentage can be converted into fractions or decimals by dividing them by 100. If you have given the percentage, you can convert them into decimals or fractions. Suppose the percentage is 25%. So 25 upon 100 is the fraction form, and the decimal form is 0.25. Okay, you already studied all these conversion. This is revision class. I am going to give the small details about all the things. If we know the percentage of something, then we can find its quantity in the whole if the quantity of the whole is known. For example, in a particular month, Ravi saves 28% of his income. If his monthly salary is 5,000, then how much amount of money did he spend in that month? Ravi saves 28%, and what we need to calculate, how much amount he spent, and we have given his salary, which is 5,000. Okay, so from the 100 you should subtract 28 to get 28% is saving. So we need to calculate how much, and 100 is his salary. Salary, I am assuming here 100, and 28 is saving. From the 100 rupees he saves rupees 28. So how much he spent? So subtract it, you will get here 2. Okay, and from 9, 72 rupees he spent. So from the 5,000, how much money he saves? Okay, so 72 upon 100 multiply by 5,000. 0 cancel. Multiply 72 with 50. 5 2s are 10. 5 7s are 35. So 3,500 rupees he spent. Okay. Increase or decrease in quantity as percentage is given by amount by changing original amount into 100. Profit or loss. In profit or loss, here we are going to study about the buying price. It is necessary the terms which you have to remember. Buying price is always considered as CP, the price from which we have purchased anything. Second, the price which we sold something, that is called SP. If the cost price is greater than the if the cost price is lesser than the selling price, okay, then you achieved profit. If the cost price is greater than the selling price, then you incurred a loss. Okay, to calculate the profit or loss, what you need to do, only you have to subtract SP minus CP, and here CP minus SP. Okay, then we can convert this, how, profit upon CP into 100 or loss upon CP into 100. This is the formula. Then simple interest. To calculate simple interest, what you need to do? So first we are going to understand the terms. The amount of money that is borrowed is known as principal. Suppose you have taken the amount from your friend. Suppose you have taken 2,000 rupees from your friend. So that amount is known as principal, and in place of 2000 you are giving some extra amount, that is known as interest. Okay, that is known as interest. Suppose you have taken 2000 rupees and you have given 2500, so 500 rupees you have given extra to him, so that 500 rupees is known as interest, and 2500 is the total amount. And what is principal? Principal is 2000. Okay, the total amount of money that one pays back is equal to the sum of principal and interest. The simple interest SI on the principal P when borrowed T time years and rate of interest. So your formula becomes SI equals to P into R into T upon 100. Here in this PDF, everywhere we have a problem in slash. Okay, that's why I already gave you the formulas. You look at this. Okay, now chapter number 9, rational number. The numbers which can be written in the form of P upon Q. P upon Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equals to 0. This is known as rational number. So basically rational number is also similar to the fraction number, but here in the rational numbers we also studied about the negative integers. Okay, but in fractions we only studied about positive integers. Clear? Equivalent rational numbers. Equivalent rational numbers can be obtained by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator of a rational number by the same non-zero integer. Okay, it is given equivalent rational number can be obtained by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator of a rational number. See, I already gave you example in the above. Suppose the number is 2 upon 10. If you're dividing the same with 2, okay, so what you will get here? 1 upon 5. So 1 upon 5 is equivalent to 2 upon 10. Also, if you're going to multiply the numerator and denominator with 2, so 4 upon 20 is also equivalent to the 2 upon 10. So, or these are also equivalent, 1 upon 5 and 4 upon 20. So how we obtain equivalent rational number? By multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator with the same number, and the number should not be equals to 0. Okay, rational number on number line. Rational number can be represented on the number line as fraction and integers are represented. Negative rational number are marked to the left of 0, while positive rational number are marked to the right of 0. This I already mentioned you in the video. This is a line. So here in the center we always are writing 0 as like integer. Here I am writing the positive number and here I am writing negative number. This is the right and this is the left side. Okay, so at the right hand side we always write positive number. Right hand side of what? 0, and the left hand side of 0, negative number. Okay, so here the question is represent minus 25 on the number line. The given rational number is negative, therefore it will be lie to the left of 0. Okay, where it will lie? Left of 0. So here this is not minus of 25, this is minus 2 by 5. Okay, like this. So remember one more thing, always the always the proper rational number will comes between 0 and 1. If the number is positive, it will become 0 and positive 1. If the number is negative, so it will come minus 1 and 0. This thing you have to remember. Standard form of rational number. If we talk about a standard form of the rational number, the number should be in standard simplest form, or their negative sign will always at numerator. Comparing to rational number. Two positive rational numbers can be compared as in fraction. Two negative rational number can be compared by ignoring their negative signs and then reversing their order. Okay. Here you see the example. Find four rational number between minus 2 upon 3 and 1 upon 5. Okay. So what they have done, minus 2 upon 3 they are multiplying with 5 by 5. As a result they are getting 10 minus 10 upon 15, and here 1 upon 6 and 3 by 3, then here they are getting 3 upon 15. So between minus 10 upon 15 and minus 3 upon 15 they are getting minus 10 upon 15, then 9 upon 15, 8 upon 15, 7 upon 15, 6 upon 15 and 3 upon 15. Okay. Now next, there are unlimited rational numbers between two rational numbers. Here we have unlimited rational number between two rational number. Beta, the definitions and introduction part which I gave you, based on this you will have 1 marks question which will come in exams, and the total marks you will get there 10. Okay, so you should also focus all the introduction part. All the operations on rational number are performed as a fraction. When 0 is added to any rational number, say p upon q, the same rational number is obtained. Therefore 0 is additive identity of rational number. Additive identity means when you will get the same answer while adding with a number. So 0 is the only number by which if we add any number and we will get the answer same. Addition of rational number is just similar to the addition of fraction. Okay, that also you have to learn. Only you have to remember about this sign. So sign also I already told you. Multiplication of rational number is also same with the fraction. Now the practical geometry. Practical geometry, here we are going to learn about drawing the parallel lines. Okay, making of angle, construction of triangle based on SSS, SAS and RHS, also ASA. Then we are going to study about chapter number 11, perimeter and area, where you will learn about what is perimeter and where we need to calculate perimeter. Basically perimeter we are calculating for the outer boundaries. Okay, for the boundaries we are calculating perimeter. Whereas if we talk about area, area is the thing which we are calculating for the inner portion. Okay, as we can see here, for the inner portion we are calculating area. Okay, done. Now area of parallelogram. The perpendicular dropped on a side from its opposite vertex is known as the height and the side is known as the base. Okay, this is base and this one is height. Okay, so always remember where the 90-degree angles falls, so it falls here, so this is base and this will become height. Here the 90-degree falls here, so this will become base and this will become height. So according to the 90-degree angle we are analyzing which one is base and which one is height. Understand? Area of triangle. What is area of triangle? Half into base into height. Basically area of triangle will said to be as half the area of parallelogram. So area of parallelogram is base into height, and half of it means half into base into height. All the congruent triangles are equal in area, but the triangles have equal areas may or may not be congruent. This is also important line. The congruent triangles have equal area, but it is not necessary. If two triangles are congruent, then their area is also equal. That is not, sorry, if two triangles having equal areas, the triangles are congruent. It is not necessary. Okay. Circumference and area of a circle. Circumference. If we talk about a circumference, circumference means it's just similar to the perimeter. Okay. This outer boundary. The measure of this outer boundary is known as circumference. We just talk about the area. Area is the calculation, the portion which is acquired by this boundary is known as area. Okay, so the inner part or the inner region which is covered by the boundaries of the circle is known as area. Clear? Here circumference is pi into d. Pi means 22.7, or you can say 3.14. What is pi? 22 upon 7 or 3.14, or you can say 2 pi r if you have given radius. Why? The diameter is equals to 2r, so this become 2 pi r. Area of circle. Pi into radius square is the area of circle. Unit conversion. 1 centimeter square is equals to 100 millimeter square. 1 meter square is equals to 100 centimeter, 10,000 centimeter square, and 1 hectare equals to 10,000 meters square. So basically in your books this unit is given so many times, so you have to remember this. Chapter 12, Algebraic expression.